Atomic Habits by James Clear. This book is everywhere. It's sold millions of copies and has become one of the most influential self-help books out there. But the big question is, does it actually work? Well, today we're going to break down its core ideas, weigh the good against the bad, and help you figure out if this is the guide you've been looking for to make some real, lasting change in your life. You know the feeling, right? It's January 1st, you're full of motivation, and you set this huge, life-changing goal, only to find yourself, a few weeks later, right back where you started. It's so frustrating, and honestly, it's a pretty universal experience. And that exact problem is what this book really sets out to solve. So here's Clear's take on why we fail, and it's refreshingly direct. He says it's not about you lacking willpower or not being motivated enough. Nope. The real issue is where we put our focus. We're all obsessed with the finish line, the goal, instead of building the reliable car that's actually going to get us there, the system. And this really is the core philosophy of the whole book. It's all about making this one critical shift in your thinking. Stop focusing so much on the outcome and start focusing on the process itself. I love this metaphor he uses to explain the power of small actions. Think about it. Just like tiny, regular deposits in a bank account can grow into a fortune thanks to compound interest, small, consistent habits compound into these amazing, life-changing results. It's not about some big, heroic effort. It's about the slow, steady buildup of tiny wins, day after day. And he actually puts numbers to it with the 1% rule. And the math here is kind of mind-blowing. If you get just 1% better at something every single day, by the end of the year, you're not 365% better. You're nearly 37 times better. Seeing it like that makes the whole idea feel so much more real and honestly super motivating. Okay, but this is where the book gets really profound. It argues that if you want change to stick, it's not just about what you do, it's about who you believe you are. The deepest, most lasting change comes from shifting your identity. You stop saying, I want to be a writer, and you start thinking, I am a writer. Think of it this way. Every tiny action you take, reading just one page, doing 2 push-ups, writing a single sentence, is like casting a vote for the person you want to become. And over time, all those little votes add up. Your self-image starts to change, and suddenly you have real, solid evidence to back up this new identity. So if every action is a vote for your identity, how do you actually get yourself to cast those votes consistently? Well, that brings us to the how-to part of the book, the practical, actionable toolkit he gives you to put all these ideas into practice. This is it. This is the heart of the book, the 4 laws of behavior change. Clear says that basically every habit follows this loop, and to build a good one, you just need to engineer each step. You make the trigger obvious, the desire attractive, the action itself super easy, and the payoff satisfying. It's a simple, memorable, and really effective blueprint for your life. And what's really clever is that this isn't just for building good habits. The whole system works in reverse. If you want to break a bad habit, you just flip the laws on their head. Make the cue invisible, the craving unattractive, the action difficult, and the result totally unsatisfying. And the book is absolutely packed with real, concrete strategies to apply these laws. There's environment design, which is all about setting up your space to make good habits the easy choice. There's habit stacking, where you link a new habit to one you already do automatically. There's the famous 2-minute rule, which says any new habit should take less than 2 minutes to start. And things like implementation intentions, where you get super specific about when and where you'll do a habit, which dramatically increases the odds you'll actually do it. The framework is awesome, it really is. But, no book is perfect. So let's take a step back for a quick reality check and look at what works really well and maybe what falls a little short. Okay, the strengths are pretty huge. The book gets praised all the time for being incredibly practical, based on science, and just really well structured and clear. On the flip side, some critics do find that the core message gets a little repetitive. And a more serious point is that the framework might oversimplify really deep psychological issues. So it might not be a silver bullet for habits tied to things like trauma or severe anxiety. It's also been pointed out that it doesn't really talk about the broader social context, ignoring how things like poverty or systemic pressures can make changing habits incredibly hard for some people. And just to give it some context, if you've ever read The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, that book is more about the fascinating science, the why habits exist. Atomic Habits is like the perfect sequel. It's way less about the theory and all about the how-to. It's basically a step-by-step manual for actually implementing these ideas.
So, with all that said, what's the final verdict? Should you go out and get this book? Is it the right one to help you make a change?
Honestly, the consensus is pretty clear. If you're new to habit formation, this is a fantastic place to start. If you're just frustrated with failing in the past, it's a perfect remedy. Productivity nerds will love it. And really, for anyone who feels overwhelmed by huge goals and just wants a clear, systematic approach, this book is absolutely for you. And that brings us to a final rating of a very, very strong 4.5 out of 5 stars. The general agreement is that this is one of the most practical and valuable self-help books you can buy. And while maybe not every single idea is brand new, the way James Clear packages everything into this memorable, actionable system is what truly makes this book a modern classic. Ultimately, the book's greatest legacy is probably this one single powerful idea. It has really shifted the whole conversation away from our obsession with setting goals to the much more effective practice of building systems. And that is the real secret to making change that actually lasts. So I'll leave you with this one final actionable question. Thinking about that 2-minute rule we talked about, what's one tiny, simple habit you could start today to cast that first vote for the person you want to become?